For our next set of guests, we have George with MLABS, Jon with CSWAP, and we have Cash from ANVIL. So let's give them a warm, Daniel Friedman-like round of applause. Woo! They got to clap again. They waited too long. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. Nice to see you again.
How's everyone doing today? Awesome. So my name is George. I'm from MLABS. MLABS is a dev consultancy in Cardano, very prolific in the space. We've built a whole bunch of different apps in various sectors like DeFi, DEXs, auctions, marketplaces, governance, lending platforms, oracles, games, NFTs, and metadata. And this last part is really the topic for this talk. We were invited here, and the common thread that runs through our experiences is NFTs in this case. So that's what we would like to focus on today. So I'd like to introduce you to Cash from ANVIL. Cash, can you tell us a little bit more about ANVIL and yourself and your journey in Cardano?
Sure. Thanks for the introduction. I'm Cash from ANVIL. We're a Cardano development agency, so we've done a lot of stuff around minting, staking, NFTs in general, you know, airdrops, anything that you can really think of. We've created a SDK, software development kit, that we use with a lot of projects for payments, for staking, for Connect Wallet, all the basic stuff you can think of, and some more advanced calls, custom calls as well. And we're pivoting a little bit into the custom development space. We're working on a marketplace right now. We got our hands in a little bit of everything, so you know, we're excited for the future of Cardano.
Thanks. And Jon Kravetz from CSWAP, welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and CSWAP?
Yeah, thanks, George. Well, me, myself, I have a background in mathematics and philosophy. And the funny story is that Charles and I both went to CU Denver when we were 15 years old to study mathematics.
Were you in the same class?
Believe it or not, he's younger than me. Like, he's just incredible. So I feel very lucky to have that in common with him. You know, I discovered Cardano a couple years ago. I was part of a community of DeFi miners, and we were kind of involved with what was going to be the first DEX on Cardano. And during that time, I kind of came up with an idea to create a DEX that not only worked for fungible tokens, but also for NFTs. I just see a lot of potential for NFTs, and we actually launched a beta of our NFT DEX 3 weeks ago. And we've got a couple 100,000 ADA and TVL and a couple 100,000 volume, and it's just an MVP, and the feedback's been great. People love it, so yeah.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question. So traditionally NFTs were minted and then listed on simple marketplaces for a particular price. Why a DEX? What are the main benefits that come from using CSWAP DEX as opposed to listing your NFTs on a traditional marketplace?
Well, for one, we were looking at some problems or common complaints in the NFT ecosystem. Like, let's say someone wanted to free up some liquidity for an upcoming mint, or they wanted to take part in a token launch or something like that. They had no way to get instant liquidity for their NFTs. So with this DEX, you can actually sell your NFT into a liquidity pool without having a partner, a buying partner, and that kind of solves that problem. And then also, the dynamic is just really interesting. It provides opportunities for arbitrage between our platform and Cardano's favorite NFT marketplace.
Right.
So it allows for more opportunities for NFT traders. It's kind of like a pro tool for now, and we're gathering a lot of community feedback, and we're just going to be implementing more features that people want to use. So.
Yeah, really interesting. Cash, For ANVIL, I believe you started out, or like when you got into like the professional services sector, your first thing was minting NFTs as a simplified service. What led you to build something like that? Was it something that you felt was needed from your own interactions with NFTs? I believe you're like an NFT collector yourself, and maybe you felt that you wanted to fill a particular gap. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first got, excuse me, when I first got into this space, it was really complicated to find somebody to help in any regard with development, whether it was staking, minting, even an airdrop, something really simple like that. So out of that need for my own project, we decided how can we make this easier for everybody as well. So instinctively, let's go create a dev agency, right? That's where we are now. And honestly, we're still working to make it even easier. Like, it's still too complicated for a lot of people who are just entering the space for the first time and trying to understand Cardano at all, let alone the minting process, staking process, all of those deeper level things. So for us, it's about really simplifying it for the end user as well as the project. So we walk them through the entire process, because that was something that I didn't feel like I got in the beginning. So for us, it's all about education and ease of use.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I guess I'll fill in the blank for myself. So I joined MLABS about 1.5 years ago. Before that, I was more of a freelance developer, helping out on different projects. And the reason why I wanted to join MLABS was because I wanted to get involved with as many projects as I could and see all the diversity, especially on the technological front, and really get at the essence of what does it take to build, deliver on a vision for a product on Cardano. And yeah, so I think I've kind of achieved that now. I've been personally involved with upwards of like 20 different projects. And yeah, that's what allows me to come to places like this and have nonstop chats with folks. Like yesterday, I think I was talking with different people nonstop for like 10 hours. So my voice might be a little bit hoarse, and I apologize for that, but yeah. Okay, so the topic for today is NFTs. Maybe let's start with the basics. What are NFTs, and what's their value? What's their intrinsic value, and what are the things that they're used for? Why do people need them, right? Let's just go really quickly maybe over that. So what do you think about that, Cash?
Cool. So for me, NFTs are a vehicle, right? It's a vehicle to get your ideas out, welcome on new community members, even build out utility, right? So for me, NFTs are a little bit different for a lot of people. I'm a huge collector. I have a lot of faith in a lot of people that are, going to build cool things, and I want to support them. And I feel like NFTs are a good vehicle to do that without necessarily having to do all the extra steps of a public offering and all these, Web 2, if you want to call them that, things. So essentially, for me, NFTs are art, they're utility, and they're a membership. That's really the three most important things of this version. Mm-hmm. But that said, I think we're only at the first version. There's definitely going to be a V2 of NFTs that are really utility driven, that have real world value, that connect businesses to Web3. And I think that we need to appreciate the profile pictures because they're allowing us to test this technology, develop it, advance it, and make it really cool for the next wave of adopters.
Interesting.
Help Rare Evo showcase a variety of stake pool operators and their missions around the world. Vote for Rare Evo Catalyst Proposal number 106811, facilitating SPO travel and media production at high-value blockchain events worldwide.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with what Cash says. To build on top of that, I kind of came up with something that kind of paints a picture of what an NFT is. So a fungible token is one unit of something, but an NFT is something of everything. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of an abstract statement, but an NFT can represent a lot of different things, where a fungible token is literally just one unit of something. So for instance, we recently created an NFT using SIP68 that actually embeds the rights to 3 different fungible tokens inside of an NFT. So now you have an NFT that has intrinsic value in terms of the tokens embedded within, and then extrinsic value, because the NFT has scarcity itself. It also has artistic value, it has cultural value, and everything that Cash talked about. An NFT, another analogy I like to use is like an NFT, the NFTs as they are now, with the artwork being a major factor, is kind of like early civilization. What was the first form of communication? It was, paintings on the walls of caves. So if we kind of look at the evolution of NFTs, we're in the very early stages, and sometimes NFTs get a bad rap, but I mean, this is the most primitive use case, what we have right now, and the sky's really the limit, which is why we felt it was so important to build an NFT finance platform, so when these opportunities come about, that we have a platform on Cardano to where we can take advantage of the progression of NFT technology.
Yeah, really cool. And I think it's cool to hear from you guys your perspective on NFTs from that sort of user-oriented and sort of business and community cultural perspective. As a technical person, I have a slightly different view of NFTs because of the way that kind of operationally we treat them when we build programs. So in my view, an NFT is like an anchor to a particular spot in the blockchain, and that particular spot either holds some value or holds some information. And so when you talk about, oh, I own an NFT, that corresponds to like some item or some piece of digital art or something, what actually that means is that, my wallet it holds this NFT, and corresponding to that NFT is some metadata that establishes my claim over that piece of art, over that piece of real world asset, or so on, right? Similarly, if an NFT is being used for membership, as you said, right? I'm holding an NFT in my wallet that is associated with some metadata that establishes my kind of credentials or my identity within some club, within some society, and therefore grants me access in a particular role to participate in that group, right? And so I can come somewhere and I can show them, here's my wallet, I have this NFT inside, right? Please let me in, I'm going to participate in this group activity or something together with the other club members, right? Similarly, an NFT might represent a particular role within a contractual agreement. So you can actually, you can create an agreement on chain, and you can allocate certain roles, like the buyer, the seller, the mediator, the auditor, and so on. And rather than tying them down with pub keys, right, you can give them NFTs, which makes that role transferable if they need it. It gives a little bit more flexibility. So that you can say that the person who holds this NFT is allowed to interact with this agreement in this role, right, and perform these sorts of actions. And that's valuable, right? It's sort of that, in real life sometimes, maybe you have a lease or something, right, and you're renting. And your role in that lease is represented by an NFT. So maybe if maybe the agreement says that you're allowed to transfer your lessee NFT to somebody and therefore sublet it to them or transfer it over. And that can all be dictated by the rules of the smart contracts and so on. So the possibilities of NFTs, I think, are much broader than people realize. People have focused a lot about the artistic expression and kind of tying NFTs to the IP rights over art. People have thought about the membership stuff, but I think we're only just starting to scratch the surface with the other ways that NFTs can be used. In fact, NFTs are being used right now in your favorite dApps to represent, are used as anchors of state within those apps, right? So for example, if I have a DEX or something, and I want to keep track of where the reserves of that DEX are for a particular pool, so like ADA and, I don't know, some Hosky token or something if there was a pool, right? Shout out to Hosky. I could track down the place where that is by putting an NFT in there and being like, okay, I can always find it very quickly because I know that this is the one true UTXO that contains this NFT in it. And so as developers, we're actually using NFTs all over the place for internal operations of dApps themselves, right? And it's like an integral part of the products that we make that consumers don't even actually see. It's interesting in that way. So yeah, so that's kind of my perspective on NFTs as a technical expert. And I think that kind of leads me to the next subtopic, which is NFT metadata. Because an NFT just on its own doesn't mean anything, right? Oh, 5 minutes? Whoa, that was quick. So all right, NFT on its own doesn't mean anything because it's just, you know, the policy hash, which just, you know, talks about the minting policy for it, and it's just some arbitrary name. What really makes an NFT valuable is the metadata associated with it, which gives you the context of that NFT. So I wonder, Cash and John, maybe starting with Cash, if you could talk about how you guys are using NFT metadata to you know, enrich and augment the NFTs that you are working with.
Absolutely. So, you know, obviously we started out everything NFT related with SIP25. And I think people quickly realized that there were limitations to SIP25, which, you know, it's okay. We make new SIPs all the time, and we adapt and overcome. So with SIP68, we now have that malleability with the NFT to kind of, like you explained, you know, do crazy things with it. And I really correlate that to your point, where we're just hitting the beginning, and the possibilities are truly endless. Like, you know, we talk to people every day and they always have, you know, a crazy idea, and I'm like, okay, my job is to spin this into metadata, literally. Yeah. So when I talk to them, I'm thinking, how does this NFT look? How is it gonna work on the chain? How is it gonna read, you know? And now we have the luxury with SIP68 to read everything with a smart contract. So it's really important that metadata is a highly regarded standard, in my opinion. And, you know, we just keep innovating and keep changing how we use it every day. And you're seeing people have to adapt and be agile and adapt to the new standards. You know, the marketplaces, all these minting services, you know, we collectively get together and we decide this is how we're gonna do it now. And I think that that's awesome. And I think that we're also gonna see people start to deviate where, you know, this metadata standard, they find out it works better for this use case or this application. And then we're gonna have an additional standard for this application. But I think we're right in the beginning phases still. It's been 2 years, but we got a long way to go. And these are really the future of business, innovation, and I do see a direct correlation to adoption with how the metadata can represent exactly the asset that you're trying to represent.
Yeah.
So final thought from me is, if fungible tokens are about being your own bank, NFTs are about owning your own data. And this is going to be huge for NFTs going forward. You know, if you think about all the centralized data containing your health records and HIPAA requirements, NFTs are something that can solve this problem so that you truly own your own health data, so that big tech like Facebook can't own your data, that's your data, and NFTs will be the key that you get to choose who uses your data. So I think, you know, just listening to George and Cash talk, you know, it helps kind of build this discussion and builds kind of, you know, the thought process behind NFTs. And we on Cardano are going to continue to work together to, you know, push this space forward. And thanks for your time.
Yeah, that's actually a wonderful closing thought for this. So you said that whereas fungible tokens are for being your own bank, NFTs are for managing owning your own information out there. So I think this is what we'll leave you guys with here. But we are, of course, at our respective booths. So my name is George Flerovsky. I'm at the MLABS booth, second row. And then right nearby, we have the CSWAP booth. Jon will be there. And the ANVIL booth is right behind the wall from Jon. And you'll be able to talk to Cash over there. So we look forward to meeting you guys, chatting with you guys, and just really getting very geeky with it if you want, or kind of keeping it more accessible and like human conversation-esque. Yeah. So please come find us, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.